You probably have no idea, but right now, you could be eating something that's literally suffocating you in your sleep. As you watch this video, millions of people around the world are consuming seemingly harmless foods that turn their nights into a silent battle for breath. The statistics are alarming. More than 1 billion people suffer from sleep apnea. But the vast majority don't know that 4 extremely common foods in their diets are making this condition devastatingly worse with every bite. And here's what shocks me most. These same foods are on the dinner tables, at breakfasts, and in the late-night snacks of virtually every family on the planet. Imagine waking up every morning feeling like you've run a marathon overnight, your body aching, your mind foggy, your heart racing for no apparent reason. Now imagine discovering that that glass of milk you religiously drink before bed thinking it will relax you is actually creating a mucus barrier in your airways that can interrupt your breathing up to 400 times in a single night. This is exactly what's happening to millions of people right now. People who follow eating habits they believe are healthy, but who are secretly sabotaging every attempt at a restful night. What makes this situation even more tragic is that these same people, desperate for a solution, spend fortunes on expensive equipment, complex treatments, and medications, when in reality, the key to unblocking your airways may be hidden in 4 simple foods that are probably in your kitchen cupboard right now. These foods have the power to transform your airways from narrow, inflamed passages into wide, clear channels, allowing oxygen to flow naturally throughout the night. The science behind this transformation will amaze you, and more importantly, it will give you hope that you can regain your nights without relying solely on machines or invasive procedures. Over the next few minutes, I'll reveal exactly which 8 foods can determine whether you wake up refreshed or exhausted. I'm not talking theory, I'm sharing scientific findings backed by international studies that show how inflammation caused by certain foods can increase swelling in throat tissue by up to 300%, while other foods can reduce this inflammation and open your airways naturally and lastingly. If you've been suffering from intense snoring, pauses in breathing during the night, or that constant feeling of fatigue that never seems to go away, get ready to discover how your next meal can be the first step toward completely transforming the quality of your sleep and consequently your entire life. If you've made it this far, it's because you recognize that something needs to change regarding your sleep, and I want you to know that you're in the right place. I know it may seem impossible that simple foods have so much power over something as complex as sleep apnea. But the truth is that our bodies are incredibly interconnected machines where every food choice sends signals that can relax or inflame our respiratory tissues. This channel exists to provide you with practical, evidence-based information that you can apply today to start seeing real changes in the quality of your sleep. Each video I publish here is the result of hours of research through international medical studies combined with real-life stories from people who have drastically improved their sleep apnea symptoms through strategic dietary changes. When you subscribe and activate the bell, you join a community of people determined to regain their sleep naturally without relying solely on expensive equipment or invasive procedures. You'll have access to specific nutritional strategies, recipes developed especially for people with sleep apnea, and you'll always be the first to know about new discoveries that can speed your recovery. We're not just here to consume information, we're building a support network where people with similar challenges can share their experiences and motivate each other. Each registration helps us reach more people who may have been suffering for years without knowing that simple, accessible dietary solutions exist. Be part of this transformational journey because you deserve to wake up every day feeling truly rested and energized. Let's start by talking about the 4 foods that are probably sabotaging your sleep without you even realizing it. The first is so common that it's present in the diet of practically everyone I know, and the science behind its effect on the airways will surprise you. Dairy products, especially milk, cheese, and yogurt, can be real villains for those suffering from sleep apnea. When we consume dairy products, especially in the hours before bed, our bodies produce an excess amount of mucus and phlegm, which accumulates in the upper airways. Imagine a person who for years religiously followed the tradition of drinking a glass of warm milk before bed, believing it would help them relax. This person woke up every morning with a stuffy throat, coughing to clear the phlegm that had accumulated overnight, and never made the connection between milk and their sleep apnea symptoms. When they finally eliminated dairy from their diet after 6 p.m., they reported a dramatic improvement within the first week. It was as if someone had vacuumed all the congestion out of my throat. For the first time in years, I woke up breathing freely. The scientific explanation is fascinating. The casein in dairy stimulates the production of histamine, a compound that increases inflammation and swelling in the soft tissues of the throat, nose, and sinuses. For people with sleep apnea who already have naturally narrower airways, this additional swelling can be the difference between a restful night and one of constant interruptions in breathing. Studies show that eliminating dairy from the diet can reduce mucus production by up to 60% in just 2 weeks. The second food that may be aggravating your sleep apnea is refined sugar found in sweets, soda cakes, cookies, and even seemingly healthy foods like breakfast cereals and protein bars. Refined sugar has a devastating double effect on those with sleep apnea. First, it promotes systemic inflammation in the body, including in the airway tissues. Second, it contributes to weight gain, especially in the neck area, which can further narrow the airways during sleep. When we consume excess sugar, our bodies enter a state of chronic inflammation. This inflammation isn't visible externally, but it's happening internally, causing swelling in the soft tissues of the throat, tongue, and palate. It's as if your airways are constantly irritated and swollen, making breathing during sleep much more difficult. Imagine a person who had a habit of eating dessert every night after dinner. They couldn't understand why their snoring was getting louder and louder, and why they frequently woke up choking in the middle of the night. When she decided to completely eliminate refined sugar from her diet in the 4 hours before bed, the results were remarkable. On the third night without dessert, my partner commented that I was snoring much less. 2 weeks later, he said my snoring had practically disappeared, and I was finally able to sleep through the night without waking up choking. The explanation is that without sugar causing constant inflammation, her respiratory tissues were able to relax and deflate naturally. The third villain on our list is alcohol, a substance many people consume, believing it will help them sleep better, when in fact it has the opposite effect. Alcohol is a central nervous system depressant, meaning it excessively relaxes the muscles in the throat and tongue. For people with sleep apnea, this is especially dangerous because these muscles already have a natural tendency to relax excessively during sleep. When the throat muscles relax excessively due to alcohol, they can collapse and obstruct the airways much more easily. It's as if you're sleeping with an additional obstacle blocking your airway. Furthermore, alcohol also causes dehydration, which makes the mucus in the airways thicker and stickier, creating an even greater barrier to free breathing. Imagine someone who developed the habit of having a glass or two of wine to relax before bed, especially after stressful days at work. She noticed that her nights with wine consistently resulted in poorer sleep quality, and that she woke up more tired, but she never made the direct connection. When she decided to completely eliminate alcohol in the 3 hours before bed, the transformation was significant. It was amazing how my breathing improved during the night. Before, I would wake up several times, feeling like I was suffocating, especially on nights when I drank wine. Without alcohol, I was able to sleep soundly for hours at a time, something I hadn't done in months. The fourth and final food that could be sabotaging your sleep is highly processed. Foods high in sodium, such as chips, snacks, processed meats, frozen foods, and fast food in general. Excess sodium causes fluid retention, and this retention doesn't just occur in the legs and feet, it also occurs in the tissues of the upper airways. When fluid accumulates in the tissues of the throat, nose, and tongue, these structures swell and take up more space, further narrowing the airways. Furthermore, processed foods often contain preservatives and chemical additives that can cause inflammatory reactions in sensitive individuals. This additional inflammation can be the factor that transforms mild apnea into a moderate or severe condition. Imagine a person who had the habit of eating fast food at least 3 times a week due to the rush of everyday life. She began to notice that her nights after these meals were always worse, with more snoring and more nighttime awakenings, but she attributed this to work stress. When he started preparing simple home-cooked meals and drastically reduced his consumption of processed foods, especially at dinner, the improvement was evident. It was as if my body was constantly bloated inside, and I didn't even realize it. When I stopped eating processed food at night, I felt like my airways had opened up. The suffocating feeling that used to wake me up in the middle of the night simply disappeared. Now that you know the 4 sleep saboteurs, I need to tell you about the 4 foods that have the power to unclog your airways and transform your nights. The first is turmeric, a golden spice that contains curcumin, one of the most powerful natural anti-inflammatories known to science. Curcumin has the unique ability to reduce inflammation in airway tissues quickly and lastingly. When we consume turmeric regularly, especially a few hours before bed, it begins to work by reducing swelling in the soft tissues of the throat, tongue, and palate. It's as if you're taking a natural anti-inflammatory that acts specifically where you need it most. Studies show that curcumin can reduce inflammatory markers by up to 60% when consumed consistently. Imagine someone who started adding a teaspoon of turmeric to warm coconut milk 2 hours before bed. The first few nights I didn't notice much of a difference, but by the second week my partner commented that my snoring had significantly decreased. A month later, I was sleeping soundly through the night, something I hadn't done in years. The feeling of waking up, suffocated in the middle of the night, simply disappeared. The scientific explanation is that curcumin blocks specific enzymes that cause inflammation, allowing the airway tissues to relax and deflate naturally. The second powerful ally is ginger, a root that not only reduces inflammation, but also has natural expectorant properties, helping to dissolve and eliminate accumulated mucus in the airways. Ginger contains active compounds called gingerols, which have the ability to relax the smooth muscles of the airways, facilitating airflow. Furthermore, it stimulates blood circulation, which helps reduce tissue swelling. When we consume fresh ginger or ginger tea before bed, it begins working almost immediately, breaking down the thick mucus that may be blocking our airways and reducing the inflammation that narrows these passages. Imagine a person who suffered from chronic nasal congestion and intense snoring, especially during the colder months of the year. She began making a simple tea with freshly grated ginger every night, drinking it about an hour before bed. The effect was almost immediate. The first night, I felt like my nose had completely cleared for the first time in months. My snoring decreased dramatically, and for the first time, I could breathe through my nose all night. It was as if someone had vacuumed out all the congestion that was blocking my airways. Science explains that the gingerols in ginger stimulate the production of enzymes that break down proteins in mucus, making it thinner and easier to eliminate. I need to pause here and ask you a direct question. How many nights have you spent waking up with that terrible feeling that you couldn't breathe properly? You know that feeling of waking up in the middle of the night with your heart racing, your mouth dry, feeling like you've run a marathon in your sleep? Or maybe you've noticed that your energy levels during the day are never the same, as if a constant fog blankets your mind, preventing you from functioning at your full potential. I want you to know that every symptom I've mentioned is your body begging for oxygen, desperately asking for a night of true rest. You're not lazy, you're not weak, you're not imagining things. Your body is fighting a real battle every night, and it deserves all the compassion and care you can give it. If anything I've shared so far resonated with you, please leave a comment below. It could be as simple as writing, "My symptoms are real and deserve attention," or briefly sharing how sleep apnea has affected your life. Every comment you leave creates an invisible support network for others, watching and feeling alone in their struggle. Someone may have been suffering for years, feeling hopeless, and your comment could be exactly the encouragement they need to start making changes. Let's break the silence surrounding sleep apnea and show that no one has to face this alone. Continuing with our natural allies, the third transformative food is cherries, specifically tart cherries, which are one of the few natural food sources of melatonin. Melatonin not only helps regulate our sleep cycle, but also has powerful anti-inflammatory properties that can directly benefit people with sleep apnea. Additionally, cherries contain anthocyanins compounds that reduce vascular inflammation and may improve blood flow to airway tissues. When we consume cherries or pure cherry juice a few hours before bed, we provide our body with natural melatonin, which not only helps us fall asleep more easily, but also reduces inflammation in respiratory tissues during the night. It's as if we're taking a natural remedy that works while we sleep. Imagine a person who struggled not only with sleep apnea, but also with insomnia, creating a vicious cycle where they couldn't fall asleep easily. And when they finally did, the apnea constantly interrupted their rest. She started drinking a cup of pure tart cherry juice 2 hours before bed. It was amazing how I started falling asleep more naturally without tossing and turning for hours. But what really surprised me was waking up less often during the night. It was as if my body had finally found a natural sleep rhythm that I had lost years ago. The scientific explanation is that the melatonin in cherries not only regulates the circadian rhythm, but also acts as a powerful antioxidant, protecting airway tissues from oxidative stress that contributes to inflammation. The fourth and final ally in our fight against sleep apnea are dark green leafy vegetables, especially spinach, kale, and broccoli. These vegetables are rich in magnesium, an essential mineral that many people with sleep apnea are deficient in. Magnesium plays a crucial role in relaxing muscles, but in a different way than alcohol. While alcohol relaxes muscles uncontrollably, magnesium promotes healthy, controlled relaxation. In addition to magnesium, these vegetables are rich in natural nitrates, which the body converts into nitric oxide, a molecule that dilates blood vessels and can help improve oxygen flow. When we eat a leafy green salad for dinner, we're providing our body with the nutrients it needs for optimal muscle and vascular function throughout the night. Imagine someone who's always had a diet low in vegetables, focusing primarily on meat and carbohydrates. When she started including a large dark green salad with her daily dinner, the results were gradually impressive. For the first few weeks, I didn't notice a dramatic difference, but after a month, I noticed I was waking up more rested and with fewer body aches. 2 months later, my partner said my snoring had significantly decreased, and I was finally getting full nights of uninterrupted sleep. The science behind it is that adequate magnesium allows the muscles in the airways to function, optimally maintaining the muscle tone needed to keep the airways open, but without the excessive stiffness that can cause tension. Implementing these dietary changes doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. The key is to make strategic substitutions that fit naturally into your current routine. Start by eliminating one sabotaging food per week, allowing your body to gradually adjust. In the first week, replace dairy products consumed after 6 p.m. with plant-based alternatives like coconut or almond milk. In the second week, eliminate refined sugars within 4 hours of bedtime, replacing desserts with natural fruits. In the third week, avoid alcohol within 3 hours of bedtime, and in the fourth week, replace processed foods at dinner with simple homemade options. At the same time, start incorporating healthy foods. Add turmeric to smoothies or plant-based milks. Prepare ginger tea for the evening. Include cherries or natural cherry juice in your afternoon snack, and make sure at least half of your dinner consists of green vegetables. It's important to understand that these dietary changes are not a substitute for proper medical care, especially if you have severe sleep apnea. However, they can be powerful tools for optimizing your existing treatments and, in many cases, significantly reducing symptoms. An anti-inflammatory diet can enhance the benefits of CPAP, improve the effectiveness of other respiratory devices, and in milder cases, even reduce the need for more invasive interventions. Remember that everyone responds differently to dietary changes, and results can take anywhere from a few days to a few weeks to become evident. Be patient with yourself and keep a simple diary where you record the foods you ate at dinner and the quality of your sleep the following night. This will help you identify specific patterns and further personalize your nutritional approach. If you're finding this information helpful and feel it could truly make a difference in your life, please comment below. This helps me understand what kind of content resonates most with you and motivates me to continue researching and sharing practical strategies that can transform your nights and consequently your days. The reality is that sleep apnea is a serious condition that affects not only the quality of your sleep, but also your cardiovascular health, cognitive function, immune system, and emotional well-being. Ignoring symptoms or accepting that it's just the way it is can have devastating long-term consequences, including an increased risk of hypertension, diabetes, depression, and even accidents due to excessive daytime fatigue. But here's the good news. You have much more control over this condition than you think. The choices you make in the kitchen have the power to completely transform the internal architecture of your airways. Every meal is an opportunity to choose inflammation or healing obstruction, or opening nights of struggle or nights of true rest. I'm not promising a miracle cure overnight, but I'm offering proven scientific tools that could be the turning point in your journey to reclaiming your nights. The dietary changes I've shared are based on decades of scientific research and thousands of testimonials from people who have significantly improved their quality of life through smart, nutritional choices. You're not alone on this journey, and small, consistent changes can yield extraordinary results over time. If this video brought new insights to your situation, show it by liking it and sharing it with someone you know who's struggling with similar sleep issues. Each share can reach someone who's suffering in silence, unaware that there are natural, accessible solutions within their reach. Your simple action could be the beginning of a transformation in someone's life. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming strategies I'll share. In upcoming videos, I'll show you specific anti-inflammatory dinner recipes, breathing exercises that enhance the effects of a healthy diet, and how to create a complete nighttime routine that prepares your body for a restful night's sleep. Leave a comment with any aspect of sleep apnea you'd like me to cover in more depth in future videos. Your transformed night's sleep starts with your next meal.